I'm Tim of Govberg, and welcome to the world of Jaeger-LeCoultre. Today, I'll be your guide to the proper usage, care, and service of your Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Geographic. Now, it's important to note that this is an automatic winding timepiece, but nevertheless, it can be manually wound. Should it run down, or should you wish to top off its power reserve of approximately 40 hours, by taking the crown in its first position flush to the case and turning it 20 to 30 turns in a clockwise direction. Now, this will be sufficient to start the watch, you'll know, because the second hand begins to advance, and on the case back you can see the balance oscillating. At this point you can set the time, set your reference city, set your reference time, and the watch will proceed to wind itself via the kinetic action of the wrist and the case back winding mass. However, should you wish to maximally wind the watch so that it is fully energized to its maximum rated power reserve, simply continue turning the crown in a clockwise direction. Due to the bridle style mainspring, which slips to relieve excess tension, you cannot accidentally overwind this watch. So feel for the subtle tick or click of the slipping bridle. That's your cue that the watch is fully wound. Now, there are a number of settings that allow for more precise calibration of the watch, starting with one position out from flush to the case. At the first detent, you'll note that you can set the reference time and the reference time's 24-hour indicator at left, independently of the primary time at center. You can set it forward or backwards. This is accessed at the intermediate crown position. Now there's one more position, which is out all the way, the second detent. This is known as stop seconds or hacking. You can see that the seconds hand has ceased to advance, and on the case back you'll note that the balance is now stationary. This can be used to synchronize precisely to a reference time, such as an online atomic clock. The best way to do this is to get your hour set correctly. Stop the seconds hand at 12 o'clock, the index at 12, and then advance the minute hand to the next nearest minute compared to your reference time. Now, when the reference time catches up to the time you've set on the watch, down to the second, push the crown back in, resume the beat of the balance. Now you've synchronized precisely to a reference time. Now, let's say you want to change your city. Always start by synchronizing the time at center with the time in the reference or secondary time zone. The city, and there are 24 cities, one for each of the world's primary time zones, is at 6 o'clock. That's the blue index. Now, I'm in Philadelphia, so my reference time is New York, but let's say I want to travel to Los Angeles. You can see how the reference time zone, in conjunction with the reference ring that I'm setting at 6, does all the math for me, jumping forward or backwards to ensure that if I start from a synchronized set of time zones, the reference time will always be true to the time zone primary city that I set at 6 o'clock. It combines the best aspects of a dual time system with the convenience of a world time system. Now, the watch faces three primary areas of hazard that require some caution on the part of the user: water, magnetism, and shock. Water is the greatest threat to your watch because it's insidious, pervasive, and once inside the case, it becomes a greenhouse that causes catastrophic mechanical and cosmetic damage. A few notes. This watch has, per the case back, 5-bar or 50-meter water resistance, which is sufficient for surface exposure or surface swimming, but not for diving or submerged aquatic activities. It's also important to note that leather, as featured on the strap, alligator on top, cav on the back, is a porous natural material that is never water resistant, so it should not be exposed to moisture under any circumstances. You can also help to avoid accidental drowning by keeping the watch's crowns and functions disused and flush to the case all the way down when the watch is submerged, or even when there's just water on the case, as attempting to use the functions of the watch with water on the case can bypass the seals. Finally, unlike mechanical specifications, water resistance is not a static feature of your watch. Over time, as seals age and lubricants degrade, the watch will be relatively less water resistant. Therefore, it's important to have the watch checked minimally every 12 to 24 months to ensure that factory-rated hermeticity is still retained. This should be done exclusively at an authorized service center of Jaeger-LeCoultre. Now, magnetism is unseen but can have profound and negative effects on the precision of your timepiece. The hairspring at the center of your watch's beating balance, its heartbeat, is ferrous, and that metallic hairspring can become magnetized by the closures of purses and wallets, refrigerator doors, high-powered wiring looms, subwoofers, speakers, and MRI equipment. Keep the watch remote from all of these. A magnetized watch will run erratically, either very fast, very slow, sometimes a combination of both. So if you suspect that your watch has become magnetized due to erratic timekeeping, take it to an authorized Jaeger-LeCoultre service center where specialized equipment is available to quickly and easily demagnetize your watch. Now, shock, unlike magnetism, can cause very permanent damage to your timepiece. Shock and concussion can damage the pivots, can damage the wheels, can damage the click springs of a fine mechanical movement. Therefore, it's important to disuse the watch during activities such as mountain biking, or the riding of snowmobiles or ATVs, tennis, batting, golf, and firearms marksmanship, as all of these produce sufficient concussion to damage the movement of your timepiece. Finally, Jaeger-LeCoultre recommends roughly every 2 years a comprehensive overhaul of your timepiece to include cosmetic refinishing, water resistance restoration, strap replacement if necessary, and disassembly, cleaning, oiling, and re-regulation of the movement. This is best done when the watch goes in for its annual water test. It's important, should the watch require a full overhaul, to perform this exclusively at a Jaeger-LeCoultre authorized service center or the factory itself, as these agencies solely have the trained personnel, specialized tools, and original factory replacement parts to preserve the value of your watch as both an instrument and as an investment. Moreover, only these agencies are authorized to back all labor and parts invested with a Jaeger-LeCoultre factory service warranty. Finally, visit our website at govbergwatches.com and call, text, or email our experts who will be happy to walk you through every phase of the ownership, usage, and care of this or any Jaeger-LeCoultre fine timepiece.